I've got a fever, and the only prescription might be cowbell. But today, it's just trades. Of course it's trades. I'm Chris Welsh from FantasyPros. I have got 5 players on my trade radar that I want to share with you. This episode today is brought to you by So Rare, digital cards that you own and play. The next era is yours, but more about them shortly. Let's get to it. 5 players I am answering the trade calls for. Number 1, Detroit Tigers outfielder Riley Greene. Don't look now, but some of these young Tigers players are getting hot, and Riley Greene is showing signs of a player we might want some shares of. On the season, Greene is hitting .268 with 3 homers, 5 stolen bases. Over the last 2 weeks, though, Greene has put up a 149 WRC+. He's got a homer in that time and 3 stolen bases. The promise of power is starting to develop, as over the last 2 weeks, his ISO is up around 170. That's not fantastic, but it's better than the season total. Stolen base numbers, they're also looking promising, as he sat just above the top 50 percentile last year in sprint speed. This year, he's in the top 12 percentile, and it's showing in his stolen base numbers. In that period of time, he's also cut his strikeout percentage by close to 4%. On the year, Greene has upped his barrels from last year while raising his max EV to over 114. Though his XBA is a little lower than his current average, his expected slugging is actually higher. If Greene's current pace of ISO holds, we could see a spike in his power numbers that push beyond his current projection numbers. As well, I think the rest of season projections might be undershooting his speed. There is a real shot that Riley Greene might touch 20 stolen bases. Greene is a cheap, speculative buy that I would be checking in on. Number 2, Tampa Bay Rays starting pitcher Zac Eflin. Eflin is almost about all they have left, right? I mean, all the injuries. It's crazy. What's going on with the Rays? They're damaging pitchers at the same rate they're unlocking new features from these guys. Eflin is their new prize, though. Like they have simplified his arsenal by scrapping his four-seam in favor of a sinker and upping his curveball usage. We actually are seeing that in Taj Bradley in the minors right now, where they're lowering his cutter percentage and essentially making him scrap the curveball so far in the minors. But back to Zac Eflin. So far, his swinging strike rate, highest of his career. For the first time, his CSW percentage is over 30%, which has all amounted to a career-high K percentage and a top 3% of the league chase rate. This isn't one of those go look for guys underperforming with signs of improvements. I know I do that a lot. Eflin has been good. Sub 3 ERA, he's at a 1 whip. He's been great. If he qualified, he'd have the 3rd lowest walk percentage in the league. You know what? He actually kind of mirrors Logan Webb statistically to me, but Eflin doesn't have the must-not trade vibes. Owners might be happy that they got him for next to nothing, so he'll cost more than his, actual draft value, but I would start poking around. Trade from a little strength, and don't be afraid to trade from even value. I think his value is going to continue to rise into the season, because what else do the Rays have? He's been good. They don't have a whole lot else. They're going to continue winning. It's going to be not only on the back of Shane McClanahan, but Zac Eflin. Number 3, St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Lars Newt. Full-on Welsh guy here in Lars Newt, but it's been a slow start for Newt. He's hit just .240 going into May, right as many of you are starting to get a little too angry and jumping off ship. Newt is now, though, up to .289 as he started off May hot. He's hit in 7 of his last 9 games going into Sunday, with 4 of those being multi-hit games. His walk rate is one of the best in the league at almost 20%. What I like about this, of course, is this is going to help just in general for him to get on base, and those stolen base numbers can start to peak. The power is the big question. Newt spent much of the offseason working on taking his barrels and turning them into fly balls, and this just really hasn't happened yet. But early injuries are moving further and further away, and he's finding other ways to continue to produce. I tend to side with players with low strike rates, the ability to barrel, and he is just one of those guys for me. I also know it's getting near crunch time to get him at a good cost. As I've seen the chirps about him over the last week or so, that means frustration, and that usually means a pretty good discount for any player that you're buying in on. This episode is brought to you by So Rare, digital cards that you own and play with. These digital cards, they don't just sit there and look pretty, though they look very pretty. You actually put them into action every week in awesome contests where you can win even more awesome prizes. But you got to get cooking first. So go to FantasyPros.com/collect. That is where you can sign up with SoRare. From there, you draft your first set of common cards. From there, you can then enter them into contests to win bigger and better cards. Julio Rodriguez and Corbin Carroll have not actually been hot lately, but I think it turns around this week, so I have got them in my lineup. I'm also playing Gabriel Moreno over Miguel Vargas. Moreno has been hot, and he qualifies on that middle infield. I've also got 2 pitchers going with Spencer Strider and Domingo Germán in my utility spot. What's your lineup look like? Get it set today and check out the marketplace where you can buy and sell cards with other owners. Get playing today at FantasyPros.com/collect. That's FantasyPros.com/collect. SoRare. The next era is yours. Now, 2 more trades that are also yours coming up here with number 4, Boston Red Sox starting pitcher Chris Sale. If I'm being honest, kind of thought I was out on Chris Sale. It's felt like he's been chasing his own tail for quite a few years now. We've seen some of that again this year, but things are starting to look like they are settling down. On the year, he has an over 5 ERA, but an xFIP that's 2 runs lower. Over the last 2 weeks, he's put up a couple wins with a 2 ERA. And over the last 2 weeks, he's at a 30% K percentage and the 7th best K- walk percentage in baseball at 28.2%. Sale has held batters to a 176 batting average, which made him one of only 8 pitchers in baseball with a 30% K rate to hold batters under 180 in that time. His slider has looked extra good as it's had the highest whiff rate since 2018 to go along with his changeup that's had the highest whiff rate since 2019. Probably the biggest question is what kind of wild card Chris Sale is. Will he get injured on the field? Or is he going to get injured like ramming a massage table into a doorway out of frustration and breaking a rib? Or something like that? I don't know. The buy, though, is we are getting the Sale we've known of old, but at fractions of the cost. Buyer beware? Yeah, sure. But as the great Michael Scott said via Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Which leads us to number 1, the top trade option, St. Louis Cardinals third baseman Nolan Arenado. I feel like this one was pretty obvious, but sure enough, like any year, these proven guys struggle for just long enough that trust gets thrown out the window. No doubt Arenado has struggled though. It is not a pretty looking baseball savant page. He's got low barrel numbers, hard hit, and the lowest average of his career at 252. But Arenado has quietly been getting better though. May 5th to May 13th, he had a hit in every single game but one. Over the last 2 weeks, Arenado's hit 280 and he's got 3 bombs. More encouraging in that 2-week span, his ISO popped to 261, which is a big rebound because his season total is at 135. Bottom line, the numbers, be it surface level or underlying, are down across the board. But it's been 6 weeks of the season, and we have got some signs of life. The panic is still out there on if he can rebound, so you might be able to swoop in for cheaper than you really think. I know I personally would give it a shot. Riley Green, Zac Eflin, Lars Newt, Chris Sale, Nolan Arenado. Which trade are you making? Who are you just out on? Leave a comment below, assuming that you're subscribed, and you could win a free premium Fantasy Pros account on us. You know where else you can acquire these 5 guys? On SoRare. And when you do, you own it. Be it a common or a rare one of one, they're yours to play for more prizes and put on the marketplace whenever you see fit. FantasyPros.com/collect to check out SoRare today. Thanks for indulging me, friends. Find me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh, where I will attempt to not disappoint you. No promises, though. Turn notifications on so you know when we're back. Until next time, this is Fantasy Pros MLB, and I'm out of here. Peace.